I wasn't here.
That's kind of when they do sleep over.
Like, a motion to open the New Paltz Police Commission meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
Stand for the pledge, please. Does everyone have a copy of the agenda? Any changes, gentlemen?
No.
All right, first order of business is approving the agenda. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any public input? Ira?
2 points. First is, this is something that, well, I don't know what's gonna be happening in the first of the year, but still keep seeing. I have personally no problem when the chief recommends something, and Jeff says, yeah, okay, whatever the chief wants to do. I do have a problem, however, if Chief Schneider, I don't know, wasn't there. And I refer to the fact that when Chief Sapone was the head of the police department, he was given specific orders by the town board and verified by the police commission that he was to hire a woman. Heck, a high order. He was to hire a woman. And they did. And and what happened was, it became so important, that's my opinion, to hire the woman, that because there was no oversight or nobody was looking at it, and it was a recommendation from the chief, they hired the woman. And what happened? It cost the town tens of thousands of dollars, because nobody independent of the police department bothered to do the research about this woman, and would have found out all the problems that she came with.
I would just be careful not to give too many identifiers about a person.
I didn't, I did not mention any
yeah,
names.
Yeah.
Everybody on this town board, except maybe you, Dan, knows who it is because they were involved in this whole situation. As far as my mentioning Chief Sapone, that's...
Yeah, no, that's fine.
No, I have no, because, you want to be honest, I can't remember her name anyway.
Even better. There we go.
And it's a problem. As Susan once said, and it's so true, we know what goes on now, and we can accept certain situations because we know the people we're dealing with. But we don't know who we're going to be dealing with in the future. Now, the town board is right now controlling the police department. Okay. But we're going to have a new town board as of January 1st. What happens then? These are things that are concepts and procedures that should be clarified and looked at before something happens, not after the fact. And like I said to the chief, no problem. We'll meet, the chief and I and the commission always never agreed on who was right, wrong, or different, but at least there was a discussion on it, and our recommendations, the chief liked it, sometimes didn't, went to the town board, but when we made a recommendation, it was after we had done our due diligence as required, not just taking the chief's word. In case, again, I want to be clear, it's not Chief Sapone, it's who may come in and replace him, who may take over the town board, or whatever. And that's an important factor.
So that's a good point. What's your second point, Ira?
I'm getting it. I was just curious whether, because I haven't heard anything since, I don't know how many months have gone by, if anything has gone forward with the town board disposing of the money that's in the police department, the evidence room, and all the properties that are in the evidence room, because when there was the police commission, this goes back a a long time, when we did our audits of all the different things, we found this and talked to the chief, and he agreed. Let's get rid of this stuff, let's make a few bucks, to reduce some of the deficit. And the last I had heard about it was, I don't know how many months ago, where you check over where we're still looking at it. And I just wanted to get on.
Chief, do you have a response to that?
Yes, we were still waiting for the attorney's ruling to find out exactly what we need to do as far as advertisement.
Notice.
Notifications. We already did the checking on cases being closed and what have you. We didn't get a final clear answer, and we were waiting for that.
So it's a due process
It's a
issue?
due process,
Okay,
yes, yeah.
all right.
So if you want, I'll make a note that we put it on next month's
Yeah,
agenda.
and we'll have an
and
answer
whatever response.
by then. All right,
That's fine, I just wanted to follow up.
thanks, Sarah.
I don't get out there.
Anybody else for police commission, public input? Close public input. Any announcements, guys?
I have a couple announcements, and if I may, also one thing for the agenda that I did email Carol about, and the supervisor, was just to have a discussion about a lease coming up on Nycomco.
All right, so we're gonna add lease with, who is it, chief?
Nycomco,
Nycomco.
NYCOMCO.
So, do we have a motion to amend the agenda?
Before we take the vote, I happen to have been handed a copy of the agenda that also has a question about adding firearms training for October.
I'm gonna do that on announcements
Oh,
instead
okay,
of
fine,
actually
yes.
getting to the agenda.
Yes.
Yeah.
I move that we amend the agenda.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so, chief, as part of the announcements, you have something to say?
Yes, just a couple things. First thing is that we'd like to make the community aware that we will be doing firearms training beginning October 13th through the 24th. It's not every day, it's 3 days a week, a Tuesday, a Thursday, and a Saturday.
Okay.
The main reason why for the advisement as well is because we do our night shoot this year, which means that, as it gets dark, we're still gonna do a little shooting, just a little bit into the dusk hours. So, we usually explain if somebody does call in regards to shots being fired, contact complaint, that it's our members that are going through training.
Is that up on Mountain Rest?
Up on Mountain Rest, yes,
Okay.
at the Firearms for the town.
All right,
So again, there's 6 dates, beginning October 13th and concluding on the 24th.
so 2 Tuesdays, 2 Thursdays, and 2 Saturdays?
Correct.
Okay. And from what time to what time, chief?
It's 4 to 10 is when we'll probably be up there.
4 PM to 10 PM.
Correct.
Okay.
And we're not shooting the entire time. That's the training cycle. We're doing defensive tactics as well, which doesn't involve actual live shooting at that point.
Okay.
But we do have live shooting later on.
All right.
The other bit of information is, this year we are going to be a recipient, the supervisor may have received a letter from AAA. Every year they hold a awards luncheon. This year we're going to be recipient of a bronze award for pedestrian safety and also for programs that we do in our community. That will be taking place, that'll be taking place on October 15th. They have a luncheon in Long Island. The board member is welcome to join if they'd like to come down for the presentation. If we can't make it, they usually send the plaque to us, we receive a plaque and a certificate. But something to pass around, if someone's interested in attending, let me know, and we'll add you to the response.
So what did we do to qualify for that?
What, to qualify, it's basically lack of pedestrian accidents, especially serious ones, no fatalities for a number of years, as well as the traffic safety programs that we take part in. That is step decals, the seatbelt buckle up, stop DWI, any type of safety issue when we talk about traffic and pedestrians that we're involved in, that adds numbers to what you can receive as far as a plaque and or award.
Okay. Well, congratulations, chief.
Thank you.
And you want to move on to the next item here, lease with Nikon?
Well, I do have one more announcement,
Okay.
but again, we'll put it into the
Go ahead.
I'm on a roll here. I'm happy to announce that the Lieutenant Rob Lucchese has been accepted to attend a training academy for the FBI National Academy, which is exciting news because it's a very prestigious course that only 1% of law enforcement gets to ever attend. He is the second one in our department. I'm happy to say I was the first, but he is the second person from our agency that's been accepted for this. Now, there's a timeline for it. It's not taking place now because of the waiting period to get into it. But he received notice that he will be able to attend that. So I'm honored for him to make it. It's wonderful for our town as well to have leadership in our agency. This is designed for leaders of an agency from the executive level, and to be accepted is just phenomenal. So I'm very pleased for that. And when that training takes place, it's a 10-week training, and will not take place probably till January of 2017, unless something comes available that we can work into the schedule. But most likely, that's how far in advance they do the
So
training.
congratulate him for us, all right?
I sure will, yes.
Chief, any other announcements?
That's all from me.
Okay. All right, Chief, you want to discuss the lease with Nikon?
Yes, we have 2 leases that we have with Nikon Co. They all have to do with our radios. Our base station is one of them that has to do with in-department radio equipment. The others have to do with the portables and the cars. So they're 2 separate leases.
From the same company?
Same company, but they're 2 separate leases. That's just how they have it put together. Pretty much mostly because your in-house base station, tower, things that is on that lease program, isn't something that changes frequently. So the cars, the portables, they get put on a different one, basically because, there's a lot of change that goes with that. If we drop down a car, one goes out. If we add a car, one comes in. We've been in the process of eliminating radios as we've gone along, so we're down about 2 cars now from our fleet in just reduction over the last few years. So this lease happens to be for our base station. Now, one of the things with this, and we all know that the radios cost a lot. It is a big part in our budget. Nikonco is the only company that really does our area here. So we're also in the process of our base stations. We have 2 stations in our dispatch that are looking to be replaced. The stations that are there now, although not obsolete, they can't be serviceable anymore through the companies, the manufacturing company. So they're looking to upgrade us to a new system. Basically does the same thing, so it's no additional bells or whistles, but it does everything that we need. But it's newer equipment that can be repaired if it breaks. They're willing to do this. It starts a new lease because all it's coming to an end anyway, but they're going to do this at no additional cost of what we're already paying. So the entire lease that they're looking to do, which is an 84-month lease, will be the same exact cost that we're paying and have been paying over the last at least 5 years.
So, Chief, I believe that's $5,000 a month, isn't it?
I think we're at about $4,200 right now per month.
Is that for both
That's for
the
everything.
portables and the base station?
Correct. This lease, in regards to the base and the radio equipment in-house, is $1,556. So that's what we're paying now for this portion of the lease. That is going to stay the exact same. There's no increase, which I was actually happy to hear that there's no increase. I told them, if you're talking increase, we're going back to smoke signals. So they're happy to keep the price at where we're at and replace our equipment, again, without any additional cost.
So, the 2 base stations you talked about, whose equipment is that? The lessor or the lessee?
It is the lessor.
Okay.
It's their equipment. They repair it, they maintain it, any issues, there's no cost to us. And I have to say, they are very accommodating when it comes to repairs.
And in terms of competition, I mean, it seems like they have a monopoly over the area. Isn't there any competition?
At this point, there's not. One thing that they are putting in the agreement also is that if after 3 years that the county decides to go with a different program for us all to be together, because there's always continued talk about doing shared services. If they go there, they're willing to take everything back and take us out of the lease, and of course, they'd be part of the new lease with the entire county, but they're willing to do that. So, right now, and I don't see anything on the horizon that's gonna come in the near future that's gonna even compete with what they do here.
Have we got copies of these leases? Have you seen the lease?
No, this isn't the lease user. I just met with them 2 weeks ago, and we talked about the proposal that they had, so I wanted to get on the agenda to discuss. Basically, because there's not an increase, you would see the actual lease for signature of the lease, at the time of it being,
Have you asked them
No,
to accept 10% less?
I've tried a lot of things. The only way I was able to reduce the cost from what we were paying was to eliminate some of our radios. Even in the station where we had one sergeant's office, we eliminated that to cut the cost back a little bit. Our command vehicle, we're going to be taking 2 radios out of that because of the amount of times we use it. We're just going to use it for when we use it, because it is handy for crime scenes or serious scenes.
Would you go back to them and ask them, just say the police commission town board would like a little bit more of an accommodation on price?
I'll be happy to do
Right.
that.
You okay with that?
Yes. Mr. Negotiator, very good.
Try.
You help us all. Chief, is it your sense that it would be desirable for there to be a countywide system?
I think that it would definitely be favorable for everybody, for the communications. We have great communications anyway. The system does that for us, including SUNY, state police, sheriff's department, local police departments. So that is very well done. The Chiefs Association has spoken with NICOMCO and met with them to try to work out some type of a county-wide agreement so that maybe would reduce it down. So that's why I'm not too favorable in thinking that they're gonna reduce anything for us, because we're trying to do it on a county-wide basis to bring the cost down. And at this point, because they're really the only show in town, the highway department even tried going with some radios. Now you're back with NICOMCO also. Yep. And I've spoken with them. Yeah. And I've spoken with them about even the town departments coming in to help reduce, and it's not what they'll do. But again, I'll go to them and say that's the only thing that we're looking for.
Is there anybody that you've ever heard of that's a competitor, even if they're slightly outside this territory right now?
There's places out of Orange County and Rockland County that have not made it up this far yet. There's nothing in the works in the near future on them. But I think in the future it'll probably expand a little more. The problem that we have also is between the towers, the radio frequencies, a lot of it has been purchased and bought up by these companies, and by NICOMCO. So it's very difficult to even get another company in here. If we were to say, let's hire, your company, you're gonna have to start rumors.
Please.
So let's go somewhere else. Dave's company, that he has a company and he wants to come in, even getting the frequencies that we have, there aren't many frequencies available because they've all been purchased and bought up by companies. So at this point, there's nothing out there. And this is something that's been in topic with the Chiefs Association for several years, because this is a big number, when we talk about it. But when you talk about buying equipment and finding a company that would just service the equipment, purchasing the equipment alone would send you into bankruptcy. It's amazing how much a simple radio costs, a little portable handheld, thousands of dollars.
Anything else? Any other questions? So can you circulate the term sheet to all of us?
Sure.
And we can put this on for a vote, maybe at our next meeting?
Okay.
Is that all right with you?
Yeah.
When is the lease required to be renewed?
Well, the big thing for them is that there's, to give that unit to us at the same price, there's a push, I guess, from the manufacturer that if they get out by the end of the year.
Okay, so the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but they do have to order it, and we are going into October. If you want, you have another board meeting this month.
Yeah.
If you want, I could try to get something circulated prior to that, and maybe attend the board meeting.
Maybe a small discount too, all right?
I'm gonna work on it.
All right, thanks, Chief.
Well,
All right, Chief, it's all you, reports.
Okay, we have 4 defensive actions for the month. First one has to do, one report file, has to do with a 27-year-old white male, 6'2",
How you doing, sir? I was in there.
220 pounds, medium build.
Thank you.
This had to do with, the officers responded to a report of shots fired when the sergeant arrived at the scene. There was a group of subjects in the rear of a residence. He unholstered his duty weapon and had a low ready as he rounded the building and spoke to one of the individuals that was back there to determine that it was fireworks. He secured his weapon. Again, although the weapon was not displayed as far as being pointed at anyone, because it was unholstered and he actually spoke with somebody, we still do a report. No injury or anything of that sort. The second one had to do with a 24-year-old male, white, 5'9", 180 pounds. This had to do with a subject who was operating a stolen vehicle, where he failed to comply with the police. He ended up crashing his vehicle up by the garage just outside of town of New Paltz. Crashed into a garage. When the officer approached him to get him out of the vehicle, he was still trying to take off with the vehicle, revving the engine. He used his asp to give a couple strikes to the individual's wrist area, forearm area, with negative results, also striking him in the leg area and chin area. Subject still did not comply. The state police were on the scene also. They deployed a taser, which also was not, did not get his compliance. At that point, they used pepper spray to pepper spray the individual, at which time they were able to get him out of the vehicle and handcuff him. He was brought to the local hospital to be evaluated for the crash, as well as the taser and the pepper spray. And further. And there was no serious injury in regards to any of the above. The next one has one report on file. It's a 22-year-old male, black, 5'10", 185 pounds, medium build. The individual was charged with disorderly conduct. Officer arrived to see the individual fighting with another subject. As he began to take the subject into custody, the other person into custody, this individual came up and began to punch and fight with the individual that was being taken into custody. The officer used his ass, struck him in the buttocks area, instructed him to stop and step back, at which time the person complied and was ultimately arrested. Alcohol and drugs was suspected, but there was no need of rescue squad. The last defensive action has to do with a 20-year-old male, white, 5'6", 140 pounds, medium build. He was charged with disorderly conduct and resisting arrest. He was being disorderly, at which time he was being placed under arrest and refused to listen to the directives of the officer, and he was being combative. A deputy sheriff was also assisting in this as they attempted to place the individual into the patrol car. The defendant kicked at our officer when he was trying to secure him in the back of the vehicle. The officer delivered a palm strike to the individual's chin, at which time he stopped fighting and he was able to secure him in the vehicle. Alcohol and/or drugs was suspected. There was no injury and no further action needed. That's what I have for the defensive action. Yeah, and on your report, the top page, you'll see there was, for accommodations was listed 1. Please change that to a 2, because I had a second one there. That was just a typo on that. First accommodation letter is for Officer Rob Cisco. He helped an individual with a lockout on their vehicle. The letter says, "Thank you and your station for helping me retrieve my keys from my car. Left the keys inside my car in the New Paltz Plaza. The officer who came was quick, kind, and so helpful. I really appreciate all you do." The second one is for Officer Shannon James. This was received by our dispatch. An individual called the station to thank the department and Officer James for helping her get a bat out of her house. She was appreciative and wanted the members to know how grateful she was that we were able to assist her, especially Officer James. So you see some of our work that we do isn't always just tickets or we're also getting bats out of
Does
houses.
state police get bats out of house?
I don't know, what their protocols are, but, we respond to raccoons, bats, squirrels. You name it, we'll
It's
show up.
it's one of the nice things about having a local police force that I don't think everybody necessarily sees, so thank you guys.
And the only other thing, I passed out the budget sheets. Why that wasn't in the packet, I don't know. As I was getting ready to print these copies for everybody and put in your packets. So I apologize for not being asked if you have any questions on it. You can even email me later. That's what I have.
All right, Chief.
The only question I had, Chief, is with the new protocol, anytime we get a complaint, it goes to the clerk stamps it, it then comes to me, and I forwarded it to,
I'll receive that afterwards. Thank you, Lieutenant.
and the lieutenant. There was one that was received, and a conversation I had with the lieutenant, it appears that a lot of it is out of our jurisdiction. Is there any follow-up that you need from us, or that you want to report to us?
Yeah, that
Or
was
do you
one
need to
I-
go, do we need to go into executive session, or you tell
We
me?
should go into executive session because the one that you're referring to was not our town or anything. Oh, and the other one was out of our jurisdiction. It
Right.
wasn't really a complaint over our officers, it was more of a question why a certain notification was made.
Okay.
It was explained and it was understood.
Okay. So I don't need to go, again, I sent you the copy. I know Lieutenant said that you guys started a file on it, so. Guess everyone wanted, it was a complaint received to the board, and again, just following the protocol. We have a copy in our police commission file, and a copy was forwarded for investigation. I spoke to Rob, he received it. I know he started the preliminary investigation, and it appeared most of it was out of our jurisdiction.
Well, the whole was out of jurisdiction.
Actually, it appeared that all of it was out of our jurisdiction. So unless you feel there's more to follow up with us on it,
Really not.
okay.
I would like to receive copies of the complaints when they're circulated, please.
They're in the, we keep them in the file at the police commission because it does have personal information in it, so absolutely, you have no, we do have them there. I did send out an email letting everyone know that we'd received a complaint, and that it's in the police commission file. So, but it does contain a lot of personal information, so they're not something that we would make public, and you're welcome to speak to the chief lieutenant about it.
If you would like to step into executive session for a moment, that's up to the board, I'm happy to explain.
So if you-
I'd like to move that we go into executive session.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye? Aye. We'll be right back out. Aye. No decisions and no action was taken within executive session. Does anyone have any other business before our police commission?
Move to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Were we supposed to adopt minutes?
Yes.
Oh,
We'll have to do it next time.
can we do it next time, please?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to start
Is
this?
there any
thing?
reason why we can't adopt the minutes during the regular meeting?
There are police commission meetings. We can do it next one.
All right.
We'll do it next one.
You ready?
Sorry, Roseanne.
I'll step out.
I don't think, do you have any business for us besides that, or, no? Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief.
Just before we start, does anyone need
Take one.
an agenda for tonight? Anybody?
I'll take it.
Anyone? You got one right there? Nope, don't get up. Get up, Marty. If anyone needs an agenda, anybody? I'm sorry, I would've got anyone. Hi, how you doing?
Are these free?
Nothing's free, nothing. Your taxes paid for. I gotta talk. Tomorrow, or tonight, or tomorrow? Tonight or tomorrow? Yeah. Right there, sir. Oh, for Carol, yeah. She's knitting her rug again. Is everyone's read? Oh, there's Jean Galucci, which I have one question for. Hi, right there, sir, on camera.
It's been a long day when I go home, my dog.
Really sad to see. Did we miss these? Take care. Take care. Let me know if I'm supposed to do something.
I mean, the town board, sorry.
Anything, yes, I'm with you. So that will be added to the agenda for you, Jean. Jean, do you have, I apologize, folks, I just need to look up one.
I don't know, that's
Yep.
what we did.
You ready?
1 second, I will be. You saw my email on that too, right?
I didn't see it back.
No, I just simply, it was proposed before and it was summarily rejected instantly.
Did you see this? Did you
Yeah,
see
no,
this?
I've done, 4 years ago, I went through it, so, yeah.
So we'll talk about this.
Yeah, well, yeah, we will.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to open the meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can we pledge allegiance? All rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If everyone could look at the agenda. If anyone needs a copy of the agenda, it's up here. For additions to agenda, what I would like to add is a grant for our Justice Court. A memorandum of understanding with our union for UPSU, which is to ratify the MOA with our UPSU, which is the union representing our office workers. Release of funds to the Village of New Paltz for fire protection. And that's all I have to add, unless anyone else has anything to add.
No.
Yes, I would like to add a discussion regarding the municipal center.
So move as amended?
Second? And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think, it's in the order we have it, it might actually even work for all of us, because I see Ms. Puglisi here, and it is the seniors to Valkill. Did you have anything for us on that?
I do.
I mean, I have something on it too, but I didn't know if you had something else that you wanted to present for us, or did you want to discuss with the board? And then we're going to go into public comment after that.
Move this discussion about municipal center up again.
I absolutely will, yes. And then we're going to go into, we'll do public comment after this, but I saw Ms. Puglisi sitting there, and I know her day has been.
It's Grandmother's Week.
It's Grandmother's Week, and I know you've been here very long today, so I just
She used
wanted
to
to get.
babysit him?
Yes,
That's right.
I haven't spoken to you, Mom.
yes, she did, actually, but that's a whole different story.
Okay, I wish you'd give her this so she can come.
I absolutely will.
Yeah, there's flyer that you have is for the trip to Val Hill, which everybody was so thrilled because we took them to the program at Vanderbilt to see the U.S. Army Band, and about 30 people came, and that's a lot for seniors to go out at night, and they loved it. And on the way home, they said, let's do something else, I'd like to do something else. So I just found this trip, and I thought, it's free, and they were thrilled to come. So I have already...
Could I interrupt you and ask you to stand where you can use the microphone? That's the only way for the folks who are watching us to be able to hear.
I was a gym teacher, I thought my voice was louder. But okay.
Thanks.
Is this on?
Yes.
Should
Yep, it's on.
Okay. So anyway, we did call and we got the program set up, so we're going to go to Val Hill for a tour in the morning, and the school bus is going to take them, and it's on a Saturday. Obviously, you can't get a school bus during the week, but the cost is the same for the bus, Saturday or Sunday, so it worked out very well. And then after going to Val Hill, we're going to go across to FDR. They can have a picnic lunch and go on the grounds there, and then be home by 3 or 4 o'clock, whatever time it is. So that's this trip. This book we have been working on, it really needs to be refined and updated, and we're going to be doing that next week on the 1st. The committee is coming back with all the recommendations for changes and upgrades, because we had to do this rather quickly. So this will be submitted to you probably with all the reviews and updates. The nice thing we did this year, I'll just give you a brief about what we did this year. We had a senior ball. In May is Senior Citizens Month, so we put together a little program for them on a Sunday afternoon. We had close to 70 seniors here, and the kids from the high school helped us put the tables and chairs up. We had music, we had food, they loved it. So I got a request today to have a holiday party in December. So I thought, well, the kids can put it together, and if you approve that, we'd like to do something in December for them as well. On the 13th, we decided would be a good date. So I'll write up a form on that and give it to you and let you know what we're planning to do. The kids from the high school were wonderful. They decorated, they did everything for us, and they're willing to do that again. And then just one other thing that, working with seniors is my thing. I have had seniors come to me needing information on caregivers. Their spouses are either suffering from Alzheimer's or have dementia. They need help. They are caregivers, and they have to get caregivers because they can't leave the house if any of you know anybody that is involved in that kind of situation. So what we try to do is get them connected with someone who can go in and take care of these people while they shop or go to church or whatever it is that they need to do. So that's part of the things that we do. We have other programs that we like to get together, but we have our committee meeting on the 1st of October, and so we're going to talk about what else we plan to do. But it's just wonderful and refreshing when you hear somebody say, thank you, I didn't know where to go, I didn't know what to do, I didn't know who to talk to. So now they feel they can come to our office, and it's great. So I appreciate your putting this program in because it has done a lot for the local people.
Who should the people that are able to provide care contact? Caregivers. You're looking for caregivers?
We have some groups that do caregiving.
So if people in the audience or people watching at home wanted to contact you, where would they call you?
They would call me here. I don't have my new cards yet. They're being printed. But they can call me right at home if they need to. I'm in the book. You need my number?
3631, isn't it?
883. Yeah, 3631 is the new one, but it's not on the card, so I can't give them out yet. But they can call me at home, so I'm usually home in the evening.
Or you can contact you right here at the office, if you're here, 255-3631.
Right, I'm here usually Monday and Tuesday in the morning or mid-afternoon.
Yep.
And I'd be more than happy to help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very
Well,
much.
Kathy, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you very much. So, thank you.
Just, Jim, just make it
I just wanted to do public input.
Sure,
She was here. I know Kathy's day has been very, very long, and I saw her sitting there and did not want to have her waiting, I felt. Because we're going to move you two in a second, but what I wanted to do is public input. That's you? And you.
I'm here this evening to request the town board to revisit the request from the Municipal Space Committee that you reportedly turned down last week because you didn't have the funds to do it. These requests were to remove the documents that must be saved and store them in another location. Your decision was also based upon the concern that if you waited to 2016, then some could be destroyed. The second request, the town requests Dave Clauser or some other engineer to prepare a proposal for demolishing the building, the old town hall. Also denied because of the lack of funds. I would like to address the statement that you have no funds to pay for this. I don't understand the statement. There are two reasons for this to be true. First, if the town has a liquidity problem, no funds in the bank to pay bills, there's a simple solution. If this is the case, you should go to your primary bank that you use, request a line of credit. This costs nothing unless you use it. I contacted a local commercial bank this week and asked them what was their interest on a line of credit, and they told me 4.5% per year. This is less than $400 and $100,000 loan per month. Also, come January, you will have significant funds from the 2016 receipts, and I don't expect you'll be able to invest them for any significant income. The second possible reason is that you don't understand this cost. This is not a budget item. The amount paid would be put into an account that would be cleared when either you sell a property or hopefully when you go out to bond in 2016 for a new town hall. To delay this activity would probably mean delay bonding to 2017, because you can't go into bonding until you get bids to start construction, and this takes time. Starting today, our architect schedule estimates that in the fall that it will be the fall of 2016 before starting construction. Every month we delay means more money we are throwing down the drain, renting trailers, paying those high electric rates and construction costs, and continue to escalate, and borrowing rates accelerate. I think I remember my parents saying, penny wise and pound foolish. Now, in regards to moving the documents now, Chris Marks, Marty Irwin, and I went to the old town hall to determine how big a problem this was. And I have pictures to show you. There were First, the question of those records that can be disposed of in January 2016. Here's a picture. Thanks for a moment. They're relatively few and can be removed in a few hours and can be left to just before we start demolition. And there you've got the picture. At the last minute, we can move them to town hall, put them in a couple of pallets and throw a canvas over them and wait for January 1st, 2016. The rest of the material that must be saved is another story. There are a couple pictures that represent a minor portion of the work to be done. And Marty is to show you this muscle, I think.
Not for publication. Fran, you can't have that picture.
This work Chris and his crew was willing to do, and this is the best time of year after mowing and before snow. He estimates at least a month. And we have a trailer to do this work. And we have the trailers. In fact, the pods have been rented and been behind the temporary town hall since last fall. Chris feels they are sufficient, but if not, another can be rented. But this is not all that has to be done. There is significant computer equipment that must be made security secure and then taken to Kingston Recycling Center. Police files transferred and taken to their facility. Removal of shelving, file cabinets, some to be cycled and some to be salvaged. Air conditioners removed, and much, much more. All this cost should be recorded in an amount to be paid for by the bond issue. If you don't do it now, Chris and his crew may not be able to do it when you finally start to move. There was also other action that has been initiated this week by Carol Connolly, Marty Irwin, and Gene Colucci to adjust our insurance on this building. This will reduce real 2016 budget figures, and the sooner the building is down, the sooner it's completely removed from the insurance policy. This last year, I understand it was on the policy for over $900K. I request you tonight to authorize this action. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Dave, thank you very much. You have been very, very helpful in moving this process forward. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, sir.
Jeff, you allowed us to add an item on the agenda.
Well, I still had some more public input,
And
yeah.
that's, my question was, do you want to defer until you get to that on the agenda to take any action?
Yeah, let's just finish with, yeah, absolutely, I have no problem rearranging it. Mike? No problem.
Hi, my name is Michael Zeeler. First, I'm sorry that Supervisor Zimmett isn't here. I actually wanted to start by thanking her for her letter to the editor this week. I thought it was both gracious and I thought important to hear these words from her. In particular, I wanted to note that it recognized some very important people who did some work in the town about 20 or so years ago. And in particular, she mentioned people and a project that they were involved in, which was working to keep out a Walmart application that was in front of the town planning board at the time. And I'm in front of you all again because I believe you can help make a difference on a similar project. In front of the town planning board currently, and it has been for some time, is a CVS application through an investor called Trans Hudson. They're the ones who would be purchasing the property, and the leasees would be CVS and perhaps a couple of others. CVS is, I think it's fair to say, the Walmart of the pharmacy and drug delivery sector. They are rapacious, they are extremely stingy with their employees, and they really could care less about the communities that they build in. I'll make these statements now, but I would be happy to support each of those with facts, but it would not be feasible to do that during public comment. The citizens that, like myself, who have been speaking about this project and working on trying to stay abreast of the application, we do not want this project in our community, and we certainly don't want it at that site to the scale in which it's being proposed. What we want the town planning board to do is to take a hard look at the potential impacts of this project under seeker. We believe if they do that, it will be clear that an EIS, an environmental impact statement, is needed. There are numerous impacts on nearby neighborhoods, on traffic, noise, community character, on the Millbrook Preserve, and on our local economy. And the reason I'm in front of you all tonight is because I'm urging the town board, each of you, to become informed about this and to discuss it publicly and hopefully to take a public position on this application. I want to talk to you about one thing that is relevant to the town board in particular, and that's the tax implications of this project. It's true that recently Trans Hudson said in comments that they presented to the planning board that they will not be seeking any pre-development tax abatement agreement, and that's great. However, it's clear, based on past history, that once CVS, if this project gets approved and CVS is one of the tenants, that CVS will seek to decrease their tax liabilities on the back end by invoking a real estate process called a net lease deal. And net leases are fine in and of themselves, but in this case, the way pharmacies have been using them, they're specifically designed to reduce the company's local property tax liabilities. And just to give you a quick summary of that, although some of you may know this far better than I, what's likely to happen is that CVS will move in, and their net leases, which ensures that requires them to pay a premium, is also, because they're paying for property taxes and other expenses through this, in order to compensate their investors, they will include a premium above the cost of actually building the store. after they move in, these financial products, these net leases often get sold on the investor market. And so Trans Hudson may leave, and we'll have somebody else who owns the property. CVS then often, and they've done this in numerous states, then file an appeal to cut their property tax levy by arguing that the price that investors pay to own a drugstore net lease is not the correct tool for determining their tax liability. Their argument is that their assessment should hinge on the amount the landlord would get if CVS moved out and somebody else moved in. The consequence is that the assessments in some cases in many communities have gotten lowered because pharmacies like CVS have proven to pay higher rents than other tenants. And the result is then that the taxes that you expect to get early on, you ultimately don't get. And in many cases, these can end up being tax liabilities for a community, not bringing taxes in. This is just one reason why we believe that an EIS would ensure that we could get, for instance, a robust fiscal analysis done by an unbiased party and could evaluate whether or not, in fact, this would be a tax positive or a tax negative project for the community. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, hello.
Hi there, Susan Blickstein. I wanted to talk to you tonight just as from my slightly wonky planner side, though I'll try to keep it interesting, about three major concerns and really ideas that have come up about the planning process and planning in the town based on following the CVS Trans Hudson project before the planning board. And the first one is an issue that is not spoken enough about in this community, but is becoming increasingly a major concern in the planning realm, and that's equity. One of the things that residents have done in working on the CVS and Trans Hudson application, in addition to petitions and other tools to gather community support and opposition, is that we've gone to the Meadowbrook development and have talked with residents. And there are a lot of concerns in that community about the fact that another large development that will be loud, that will take out a lot of soil, that will produce dust, and perhaps contribute to asthma rates and health issues in a low-income community, that these are issues that are never seriously talked about or seriously considered. And so it's something that I wanted to speak to you tonight about. Along with that, we found that a number of Woodland Pond residents have come to the planning board to express their concerns about safety, their own safety in navigating what is already a challenging intersection for them that they have to navigate and live with, but also their safety when it comes to emergency service response, not only to their community, but to other parts of the town, and the effect that a development of this size could have at such a pivotal location. And that brings me to the second issue I want to mention, and that's scale, and Michael touched on this. We're talking about an over 13,000 square foot CVS with a drive-through, a fast food restaurant, and some other retail use. And because the town zoning regulations are incredibly dated, there is no regulation on impervious coverage. You can virtually pave more or less the entire property, okay? There's some buffering requirements, but they're minor, okay? So you can basically pave an entire parcel. There's no caps on the size of retail establishment. There's no design standards. There's nothing of the contemporary tools that communities that work hard at contextual design, we have none of that, okay? None of that is in place. And so I think there's really an opportunity here that I want you to think about. And the opportunity, as I see it, is to work with the village to clarify and better address, through a very focused planning effort, the right scale for this location, and a concept that respects context, community character, the quality of tributary 13 and impacts on the Mill Brook, and that is really based on a much more contemporary, forward-thinking design that incorporates sustainability. What's before the planning board right now is 100% engineered and 0% design. And it's not too late. Trans Hudson and CVS would like us to think that it's too late. But if you would like to see something other than the store in downtown Kingston at our gateway, then you really need to think about doing something. And let's not wait until there's even more community opposition. We have thousands of signatures, or until there are lawsuits, to take a more responsible approach. I mean, I'm asking you to be a little bit proactive and maybe even a little daring about it, to do something right for the community. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Anyone else for public comment?
Okay, let's-
Okay, anyone else? And then Marty, you wanted to move,
Municipal Center up front.
Since Dave and Carol
I'm fine.
are here.
I'm good with that, yeah, no, I'm good. So if no one else objects, let's, Marty, please lead us in discussion of Muni Center.
Well, I think Dave gave a very good report regarding the moldy existing town hall property. And I continue to feel like Dave and the committee do, that it would be timely for us to address that building and its demolition now. There are some parts of the architectural design process that require access to the ground where the new building will be built. And the present building being there denies that access. So before we can get into the structural elements of the design, some way there needs to be geotechnical testing done, and that requires the building.
There's also a questionable septic system.
There is a questionable septic system, yes. It's not being used presently, but we don't know what it has.
Well, no, because there's nobody in the building. We
Right,
used before, they were in
right,
the building.
yes. Today, it's not being used. And that is physically between the building and the sidewalk. And we also need to know what, if anything, we need to do extraordinarily because of what is there.
The septic system is not, Chris, correct you, the septic system is,
What we're
Chris,
doing,
I was gonna ask, right,
Without any
Right.
pre-work or remediation.
right,
So we could just remove it whenever we want?
yeah.
Pump tank, class, remove the system.
We can pop that system, so to speak, right out.
I'm glad to hear that. Thanks.
That's very,
Takes that issue off the table.
There you go, yeah.
So now we're down to just borings. And the whole topic can be boring to a lot of people, but the borings we need to do are necessary. So keeping the building there impacts us on our insurance by a little bit, and maybe Jean, when she's had an opportunity now that she's been requested to look into that, can tell us what that impact would be. The materials that are in there now are either going to be trashed, recycled, or relocated. Chris has indicated, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, that the ideal time for your staff to do that is after you're out of the summer season, and that is coming upon us shortly. There are 2 container boxes presently located behind the trailers on Clearwater Road, and those are empty, and we are paying $1 a month for each of them, so they're not.
It was $1.
it was,
It was part of the deal.
it's not even a month,
There's no cost for
there's
them
no
to be
cost
there,
there, yes.
so to move the records into there doesn't let us save money by getting rid of the containers. Chris is prepared to do that with his team, and I believe just needs to be said, yes, let's go ahead and schedule that work and get it done, and I would like to have us arrange for Chris's staff to do that.
Although, I think we need to, again, throw a slight bit of caution to the wind here. There are some reports, and Chris met with several of them. There is some remediation that does need to take place. And
None that needs to take place before they can be relocated.
what it is having individuals actually in that building, and having been here when they were working in that building, they were all working, we did encapsulate the building internally. It was encapsulated, and the workers in there did wear the white suits, and they did tape themselves up, and they wore respirators. So that notwithstanding, I'm not quite ready to send in Chris and/or any of his crew to go and remove records if there is a hazard to any of the employees.
Chris,
So,
can you speak to that?
Yeah, just a suggestion, the firm we use, Whitaker,
Yep.
we did the admit, it might be then with that, a good idea to have them come in and say, look, you don't want to clean the files because the funds are not here to do that. That was my understanding when we
Yep.
originally did this. What do we have to do to move the files out?
So let's do this actually then, and Marty, just so you know, I've met with Doug multiple times. He has many certifications in all sorts of remediation. Doug will be more than happy to meet with you and maybe Chris even if he has an opportunity. And maybe if you want to build something, get someone else from the building committee. Dan, if you're interested, Doug will let you know where he can go safely in the building with you, and then he can tell you, he could tell us maybe even how to prepare our own crews to do it. Doug has been excellent with us through this whole process, and he will actually do that. I know he will come down, and he'll let us know what we could do on our own and what he could assist us in, and
He's just a guy. I mean,
yeah, he'll guide us through. He'll gladly come down here and guide us through it. So I
Can he
think
address issues of asbestos, for example, or is that not his focus?
he can, but with every addressment, there is a charge.
Sure.
And a different style of assessment, sampling. It's not as easy going with that mastic that holds that tile down. Could be. There has to be a sample. There's a process for that. Every time you take a sample, or identify an area that possibly has mold in it, there's associated costs with that. That's why when we hit the first mold bank, it was assumed that if it's this bad here, more than likely in the age of the building, there are other mold banks. And instead of going and seeing actually where they were, it was cost prohibitive to say, well, it's a pretty good bet that if it's here, it's possibly there, and it's possibly here. Or he found it once, so we didn't need to go any further. But it did get rather expensive.
now where he is good, and I think this brings us to, I know something Kevin likes too, is I think meeting with him can give you the plan. So he will tell you, okay, this is what you need to get tested. For example, he helped us out a lot with the computers, which you had mentioned, Dave. The reason why we ended up buying a lot of new monitors, for example, was he said the cost of cleaning these will exceed the purchase price of new monitors,
Which
for
might
example.
be actually in his original assessment, because he worked out more than one scenario. It wasn't just clean the building out, move it. We've gone all the way to discussions of, we're not going to take these files with us, we're going to leave them here, we're going to move these files to storage, but not clean them. So there is that there. So
And just so you know,
it's a smart move to get what we have to do just to get them out of the building and ensure the safety of the crews that are doing it.
And just so you know, he moves very quickly. We contacted him and a couple other firms. We had 3 bids within, I think, about a week, Chris, or maybe
Yes,
2.
exactly.
So
And he will,
Let's talk about that.
So
Okay,
let's-
talk,
yeah.
let's talk about staging it now. So we
Yeah.
talked about everything we need to talk about, right? So we have boxes we have to remove from the building, okay? We have to get this company to come in and see what it would cost for their people to work with you to move the boxes up to Clearwater, correct?
It might not be a company to.
Might not, but you're gonna check that, right?
Yes, that would be.
Okay, so that's part 1. Part 2, in order to demolish the building, we need somebody to come in. Maybe we have to submit, we have to make requests for bids for somebody to come in and tell us what abatement has to be done in the building before it can be demoed, correct? All right, so that's number 2. And number 3, who's,
The most important was.
right, who's doing the demo work?
It's-
Are you doing the demo work?
There's a possibility of us being able to do the demo work. It would be good to vet it out, and since we've already got a firm who's been interested in doing the demo work.
Okay, so you want to get bids for mitigation,
Engineer to define it.
mitigation and demo, correct?
Correct.
and just so you know, Kevin, this is one of our concerns, and Chris and I had discussed this. When we move town halls with demo, is there are parts of it that actually may need some remediation before you just go in, so.
Right, they're gonna
There are
identify
parts
that
Chris
in
might
their
be able
bids,
to
right?
do, yes.
And then test borings, Marty, can you do that before you demo, or do you do it after you demo?
After.
Okay, so we have to set up those steps, right?
And I'm sure if we had to do it with the building there, we could figure out how to do that.
Okay.
I suspect it would be more costly.
So what,
This is also something that our consultant that we used last time does from.
so Chris and Jeff and Marty, do we have to get 3 bids in now? Should we just notify these people, have them all come in, do an assessment, tell us what it's gonna cost, so we know?
I think there,
The assessment's professional services, I think.
Well, the assessment,
I'm almost thinking it would be, and I'm not sure, I need some guidance, it might be cheaper to look at the person who already uses the already has the data.
Right.
And he won't have to go and create it from scratch, versus bringing someone in fresh
Okay.
and making a full assessment. That would be my guess. But I can contact him, talk to him, and just get a feeling of, and then I'll be glad to report to
An
him.
extension of the already.
Does this data exist, you know, and is it relative, or you have to come in and start all over again?
Okay.
He has to start all over again, then it'd be worth it, you know, contacting 3 bidders and say, this is what we want to do.
and just so you know, Marty, and I think it'd be good to have Marty involved in that also, because I think to Kevin's point is that we'll decide some of the next steps. I mean, we have up to and including the air sampling, we have.
so let's get,
We need
I'd love
to,
to
We
get,
have, it's already been done, we have a lot of
let's
this
get the
already.
data that we need to
it
start.
would help me to give the number, I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be glad to help all my
do
plates.
you have those reports, Chris?
Yes, I should have, I don't have all the reports.
If not, Carol has them, if not, Stacy has them. So yes, the reports all,
Yeah,
the
I'll
reports
get
all
the reports
exist.
then.
Yes, they all, absolutely. If not, I might even still have copies of them.
Once we know what the costs are, we can figure out how we're gonna pay for it.
But I'll make sure you have that number, a contact number, and I think that's a good place to start.
What's up, Dave?
And he is, yeah, and I'm sorry, Dave, you have a comment, question?
I think, and I would advise that you should consider doing this, okay? Once again, putting this, identifying this, this cost, or whatever it is, okay, as part of the demolition cost of this facility, and therefore put it in an account, an account that is funded as part of the new building account, and therefore going up when you bond to build up a new facility and pay for this situation. So it doesn't come out of your yearly operating budget.
But it's still gonna be an expense though, Dave, until we bond it.
Yeah. Gene just nods your head. Yes, it's possible to do.
Everything's possible, but again, there's also another piece to this too,
And
is,
by the way, that might even reduce the actual budget if you charge us something to manage.
and some of this we need to look at also too, is we do need to hear back from the village too, because that also will affect whether we're going A side, B side of the budget, or,
I don't think that makes a bit of difference.
well, I beg to differ. And the reason being,
If you don't use this facility, you'll sell the property.
I don't know if that's a fact, but that is something that's a possibility.
Dave, I think your concern is delay. We're not gonna delay. We're not gonna do that. We're not, okay? But Jeff's point is, at some point, and there's gonna be a consideration of what's gonna happen, and obviously, we'd like to know all that as soon as we can.
Yes.
So that avoids delay. And we all agree that we want to avoid delay.
I don't think the village's participating or not, though, affects what we are talking about doing with the existing
No, it
building.
doesn't.
No, it does not, no, that's fine.
No, it
Nope,
doesn't.
that is, that we will, because
So
it's our
let's-
structure, so that we can continue to go
We
ahead.
got a plan.
And to Kevin's point, I mean, I don't think the members of us that have been on this board for a long time or have worked with this board for a long time, you know, one of the things we did very quickly, we moved the police station because it needed to be done. I did that very quickly when I got here. When we needed to move out our town employees, we moved out our town employees very quickly. Got done. When we needed to clean up the recycling center, we did that very quickly, and we brought in people to help us do it. So please, Dave, don't, you know.
When we needed to build the pavilion out at the Field of Dreams, it got done very quickly.
So we're with you. We're on your team, Dave. We want this done quickly. But we're going to, you know, we do need to make sure we're doing all the steps process. But I think we've already got a plan here, and again, Marty will notify you if you would like. We're more than happy to have Marty notify you when we're gonna, you know, get dug in and.
No problem.
All right, Marty?
We're
good?
I think we're in good shape. Yeah. No, I think we're in actually very good shape. And I'm sorry, Marty, do you have anything else on that, or?
No, I think we've got a direction.
Yep.
We've agreed on a plan. We don't know the cost, so we can't speak to the money.
Chris
and,
Mark's the lead guy.
Yep, and Chris, if you don't have Doug's number, I have it, I know I have his card.
No, I do.
Oh, good.
Is the card still stable right about?
I still have his card on my file too, so, and you'll be surprised how quickly he acts too, and so, great. So the next piece is, if we could go to very quickly, is the BAR, which is the Board of Assessment Review. We had all received a while ago a notice that Dan Winfield's term on the bar was set to expire on September 30th. I contacted Dan Winfield. I forwarded his response also to the clerk, who was responsible for monitoring these. Dan indicated he is no longer interested in serving on it. He'll be unfortunately leaving the community. So
We want to thank Dan for all his work.
we want to thank Dan for all of his hard work and dedication to serving on the Board of Assessment Review. If we did have it open on our sheet, Jim Littlefoot did reach out and put an application for it.
He was here tonight.
For an interview. He did interview with the board, so I would like to make a motion that we appoint Jim Littlefoot to the BAR.
Second.
And to a term,
5-year term that will expire in September of 2020.
5-year term, expire in 2020. Should we add that to your second?
Yes.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we thank you, Dan, very much for your dedication and all the time you put in. The community will miss you. And I thank Jim Littlefoot for stepping up and being willing to do this.
Okay.
Bike ped we had next, and we have a resignation from the Bike Ped Committee. Bill Weinstein has requested that we accept, I apologize, we accept, but do we, no, that's okay. Oh, no, I know, if we missed something, let us know. Okay, no, if we missed something, let us know, we're happy. We have from Bill Weinstein, he would like to expire, he would like his resignation to effect on October 20th, the day after the October meeting.
So he would like his resignation
Accepted on October 20th. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Bill Weinstein to take effect on October 20th.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And thank him first.
Yes, absolutely. Bill Weinstein, actually, I don't even put it in here. Bill Weinstein has served on Bike Ped Committee for, I don't know if you put it in here. Bill Weinstein has served on the Bike Ped Committee for many years. I know he has had challenges in trying to get the cooperation of the state and the county, along with Bill also getting promises from the state and the county for certain things, and then they would go and pave it and it wouldn't happen. So I commend Bill for all that he has done on the Bike Ped Committee, and also for his great patience and fortitude. I will use the example of right next to us here, the Stewart's Bridge. He was promised that would be widened to allow for better bike traffic. Lo and behold, they came here, they did the work, they paved, and he asked them why didn't it get widened, and they said sorry. So that is just one example. Bill also with Route 208, one of the areas he and I'm also a road biker, and on 208, again, he was also promised of improvement of the shoulders along it. They came and they paved, and somehow the shoulders got completely missed. Although he did stick with it, and he did get parts of it improved. That would be the dip down there along by, those of you that know it, Dominic's Fragola's house. He did get parts of it improved, but not to where. So thank you, Bill, for all you have done. I also was able to serve with Bill on the Walk-Hill, on replacing the Carmine-Liberta Bridge across the Walk-Hill. Bill Weinstein's input on that as far as Bike Ped, and also the discussion, he helped also lead us in a discussion and understanding the pitfalls of having a second bridge, and that just because of its location, and bringing down tours there. He even brought down tours in our community to show that the second bridge would not be as good as actually having a wider bridge be built. So again, thank you, Bill Weinstein. I could say more, but verbiage. Thank you very much. We passed a law on accessory apartments.
Yes.
It's something that is near and dear to Kevin's heart. So on accessory apartments, the revised law, it is now town code. What we need to do is we need to have the building inspector go out and actually for a annual renewal fee for the accessory apartment, because it is a special use permit is required. It has been proposed, right there, that the permit should be $50. This fee amount came from meeting with Stacy, with Kelly O'Donnell, and that would allow for the annual fee for them to go out and do any required inspections, and that would also allow for them to continue to have a special use permit.
Do you need a motion?
Yes, I do.
All right, so I'll move that as a result of the revised local law on accessory apartments and the requirements under the revised law, I move that we increase the special permit cost to $50.
Second?
Second.
You can second.
I
No,
know you were-
no, that's his motion. No, that's okay. Yep, Marty seconded.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, and that will make our planning department very happy. Wetlands inspector, for all of you that are familiar with the wetlands law, the wetlands law requires and allows us, we defended it several times in court and always successfully. So thank everyone that's been involved in that, and as part of it, the town provides a free inspection. So should you want to do a change on your land, should you want to subdivide your land or have it looked at, you contact the town and we send out a wetlands inspector. The one we had was a gentleman, many of you probably know him, Spider Barber. Spider, due to illness, is unable to fulfill that. So we did go out and search for, we had our engineer go out and search for some, and also Stacy called around. We did find one that's called Bagden Environmental. Do you know any familiarity with them? They're a large environmental consulting company. They are engineers. They have a gentleman by the name of Norbert Quersner, and he is a certified wetlands inspector. So what Stacy is doing is simply asking, I'd like to make a motion that we could appoint Mr. Quersner as the interim wetland inspector.
Second.
Any discussion? And again, just so you know why we're putting him as an interim, should Spider be able to return, I would like to make the motion that he then be allowed to return.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So could you hand one of these to clerk? Do you want to go right to the next one, Kevin? Or?
Let's come back to that, all right?
Let's come back to that. We can do that. Standard workday. Each year we need to do a standard workday. This is a requirement. Would Jean like to come up and discuss this with us real quickly? No? Or do you want me just to take it? It's something near and dear to your heart, because I remember my first few months on the board getting a discussion from council, yes, I do remember.
Remember how rotten you were?
No, I simply remember that you said, Mr. Logan, I see that you've had it since 2014, and you've worked, or no, I apologize, the date, since 2008, and you have not applied. And I actually got, this will be the only time in history I got to probably ever correct Jean Galucci. I said, no, I was working for the New Paltz Central School District as an intern nurse. So but after that, I've never ever once challenged Jean Galucci once again on facts.
Not on numbers.
No, I've learned my lesson.
So for purposes of New York
Your
State,
fabulous clerk, Rosanna Mazzacari, has been trained in standard workday recording, reporting, and filling out the chart.
so for
Just want you to know.
purposes of New York State and local retirement system requirements, I move that we adopt as...
Well, we need to pass, this is being passed, actually, it needs to be passed as a resolution, so we are making a resolution.
I'm making it, I'm
Yes.
offering as a resolution that we adopt as a standard workday, based upon the information set forth on these 2 pages for elected officials, town councilman, town justice, by the way, town councilman Jeff Logan, town councilman Dan Torres, and town councilman Marty Irwin. Appointed officials, youth director, deputy town clerk, recreation director, pool director. elected officials, supervisor, town clerk, appointed officials, confidential secretary, assessor, and dog control officer. Any discussion?
Before that, what I would like to add as an addendum to that is we actually have to do the names. So if you would like to, or I can, if you'd like to actually, these names actually have to be part of the resolution.
No.
No, they don't. They state,
No, because some of those positions are civil service. and-
Okay.
because it said competitive civil service, because actually, I got this and it said we were supposed to actually name them. They were,
No,
the state was
this
not
part-
correct?
This part
The
actually,
state is incorrect.
this actually
I am fine
refers
with that.
to the monthly report that's submitted by HR, the
Okay.
payroll.
Yep.
So they don't have to be listed on the resolution. They're still included in the monthly report and all that, but they don't have to be on there.
Okay, because the state said it has to be part of the resolution, so
No,
they're,
they're saying that competitive appointments through civil service
Right.
do not need to be listed on the resolution. And the only reason why they have them listed here is because one of them is a new employee.
yep.
One of them
Is an elected official. It's
is
a
an
new
elected
elected official.
somewhat elected, somewhat new, but hasn't submitted a record of activities
Okay.
yet. And they don't know, they didn't know that our bookkeeper and the building inspector were competitive civil service positions.
So unlike what was done to me, I will not point out the guilty parties. So I was one of it for many years. So if you have not submitted them, please stop by Jean's office and/or stop by our clerk's office.
I recommend that that person should do that.
There are two of them here. I will leave them nameless. I was pointed out, but I was in good company. I had the justices with me. I felt I was in very good company. So, but it is very simple. If she will give you an example of the form, let me take that. Yeah, I want to keep that in the file. She will give you the example of the form that you fill out, and it is fairly simple. So as Kevin's motion, it was seconded, I believe, or Marty did second, no? I will second it, second. Any other discussion?
So do you want to poll the people for resolution or no?
No.
Need a poll?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay. Well, Kevin, we got two of them that are pretty good discussion. One actually is, I will go into one of the ones I added, which is the UPSU Memorandum of Agreement.
Okay.
Which is, UPSU is currently the United Public Service Employees Union. This is the union that is representing our town hall unit. They have met and they have accepted it. We have not gotten back the signed agreement. What we just simply need to do is the MOU, for which myself, all of us here, as you know, are the Personnel Committee, all members of the town board. During this MOU, it was myself, Supervisor Zimmett, and Councilman Irwin. So during that, we agreed to the MOU. So even though Supervisor Zimmett is not here, if she was, her vote would have to be yes under the law. Obviously, my vote has to be, and so does Councilman Irwin does have to be yes under the law. So what I would like to do is I would like to offer the MOU between the town of New Paltz and the United Public Service Employees Union with the town hall unit for a term of agreement that goes from January 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2018.
Second.
Be accepted. As discussion, I would really like to thank all the members of the UPSU negotiating team that participated. The extension of the contract was fantastic. We actually have a contract that will now go through 2018. They will also also allowed us to agree that as a result of anything under the Affordable Care Act happens to come up during 2017, that both parties agree they are allowed to reopen the contract. So I want to thank also UPSU for agreeing to doing that. So with that,
This memorandum of agreement that we just approved is 3 pages.
yes, it is. Yep.
All right.
Any other discussion on it? Okay. All in favor? No, this is the one that actually Roseanne needs. So what I would like to do is, this is actually the one, take that, Roseanne, I believe that has the correct signatures on it. And then the last piece is to be,
Very good.
Marty, you got one, but Dan, there's one, and there's one also for you, Marty. So again, thank you to all of our town hall employees and for working with us. And also, I believe we will be working with UPSU again on another contract, but that is still pending some other information. I can do also the release of funds to the Village of New Paltz for fire protection. There is a amount that was due. There are two different pieces to the contract. I know Kevin has read it. We have gone through it. There is a part of it that is a 509C, and their release of funds. And then there is also the contract. We do have a payment due in the amount of $129,519.77. And I would like to make a motion that we approve for our treasurer to release that amount to the Village of New Paltz.
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, that's fine.
Yeah,
Are we okay with that?
yeah, did you want to discuss it?
Well, I was watching you and I thought maybe I was reading your face that there was a question.
It's a payment that's due. It was pulled out of the July warrant, and if you're okay with me paying it, if you authorize a prepay, I'll cut the check tomorrow.
Absolutely. So I will change my motion actually then to, I would like to have it be authorize a prepay to the Village of New Paltz in the amount of $129,519.77 for fire protection.
Second.
Again, any other discussion? And just so you know, Marty, why there was some discussion of it, there are a couple parts to the contract. It appears there's also an unspent amount of money at the village. That is to be, it's on the 509 side from the fire department, not at the village level, from the fire
The
department.
fire company,
Fire company.
not at the village.
Not at the village.
So there's two pieces.
Yes.
There-
One piece pays the village for providing fire services through the fire company.
Yes.
Who also got a payment based upon the negotiated amount last year.
Yes.
And that's how it worked, all right?
Now, the 209D funds in the amount of 25,000 plus to the fire company were put on hold. Did you want to talk about that? Can I tell them to release it?
I think it should be released because it was part of the discussion. And my recollection is after this came up, I came in to see you, and my recollection was that the fire contract basically was pretty stable for a period of time. There weren't many increases. So it was the appropriate time for an increase based upon the service that they were providing. And the fire company requested, under the law, which they can do, that we pay a portion of our cost to the fire company, which we agreed to do. So when it came up for payment, there was some confusion about what that was, and I had a conversation with you, and that's my recollection. They're entitled to it.
And again, correct me too, Gina and I also had a conversation. The reason we had the hold on it is there was a discussion over, was it a payment that was being made twice correctly? So there's also a refund check that is in the hands of the village that is being paid back to the town in the amount, and I will say it's about $20,000. So we were trying
Fiscal year.
from the prior,
Unexpended funds.
Correct.
from the village's prior fiscal year, not from the town's prior fiscal year.
Right.
So there was their fiscal year is 6 months off of our fiscal year. So as strange as it seems, we'll be releasing $25,000 and a few $100s to the fire company, and then we will be receiving a check back for $20,000. So that is why we were holding the check, and you can see where some of this accounting came in. The good news with Gene Galucci here, we will have a good hand on this.
That is good news.
Yes, it is. So, all in favor of paying authorizing a prepay of $129,519.77?
Including the release, Gene?
Well, I was gonna do that separately.
Second.
No, I think.
Aye.
Aye, that's the aye. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'd also like to make a motion that we release the funds due to the fire company in a check that the village is already in possession in. We did mail it out in time, but we asked them to hold it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Gene has the number.
Gene has the exact amount. It's 25, I apologize, I don't, actually, I could look it up. I actually do have the amount, but we can get the amount. A real quick one then is
Grant for Justice?
the grant for the Justice. This is a grant that they have gotten some stuff before. They got some security equipment. Becky has been very good about getting grants down there. She applies for many, and they say...
New gavels.
New gavels.
New gowns.
New gown.
I wish it was new gowns, actually.
She did get the gown.
She did get the new gowns.
Yeah, we signed the one.
Yep. Do you see how much a new gown costs?
New gowns.
How much does a gown cost? Did you see it?
$700.
It is, yeah.
Like, it's more
Yeah,
than a
they're $500 to
tuxedo.
$700. It is we are in the wrong business. We need to be producing our own gowns. They are very expensive.
Where's, who was here earlier knitting? Maybe we should have some knit gowns.
That would be beautiful. So what this grant is, if anyone wants, I do have a whole piece of it. I believe Becky sent it out to everyone, or did she not? If she did not, I'll get them sent out. But what the grant is for, attached will find, is called the JCAP grant. It is going to be used. She is asking for a total of $6,483 to purchase scanning and security upgrades for our computer system, as well as a new magnometer for the courtroom, and that would be it. Now, what's nice about all of this, Chris and I have done, unfortunately, several assessments of the court building. There's a lot of work to be done. That is also part of the reason why we are looking at. I know you've been down to the court hall. If you have not, please join Chris. Our inspection led to some very quick repairs down there to sidewalks and whatnot, and security. All of these items, they will be able to move with. So Becky is applying for grants for items that, should we get a new location, even the next couple of years, these will also be moving with us. These are not permanent structured items. So all I need is, would someone like to make a motion approving the JCAP?
I'd like to move that the town board authorize the application for a JCAP grant for purposes of securing funding in the amount of $6,483 to be used to purchase scanning and security upgrades for our computer system for our justice courts.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. The only other one, Kevin, do you want to go into then, do you want to do the computer equipment policy? The two of them. You know, I do not believe they made multiple copies is the only problem.
Was the policy that was done, was that made in-house, or was that from another municipality that we borrowed?
Do you know the origin of this one? You do know.
I do know.
There you go. Would you like to share that with us?
I didn't.
There you go.
There you go. There you go. Well, it's pretty easy. There's the answer. I have only reviewed it. I will be, and here's my, actually, I brought one copy.
I did it for preliminary purposes, so please feel free to make whatever changes you.
So why don't we do this? It is more of a need before.
Yeah, I think your idea is to circulate this and
Yeah.
move it to next week.
I'd like to circulate this. I know one of the copies I saw circulating around, I believe was a copy that Dan had made earlier this year, last year. I know there was a copy of one of the ones I had made. I know this was a combination.
I think Dan, had a social media policy specific.
Yes.
Okay.
That was a separate
That was a
policy.
separate.
Right.
This has an itty-bitty thing about social media, not a whole big, it's more about using government equipment for social media as opposed to how you deal with social media. This is more about the government asset.
So I propose that, because social media would be very interesting discussion, actually. So I propose we put this on for next week and maybe have a small discussion about social media as things move forward with the town board.
Sure.
All right?
So what I will do is, Gene, can you circulate this out to the whole board? And we'll circulate to the board. Everyone, please read it. If you have any discussion points, let's bring them up, and then we will put this on next week's, yes, thank you, next week's agenda for discussion.
Okay.
And that would be that, the computer. Is that good, Gene, for you? Thank you very much. Okay, and then the last one is, well, we do have a couple other things to warn. Did you have anything else?
Nope.
Nope. Is the library. The library has submitted to the Board of Trustees of the library has submitted to the town of New Paltz a resolution to be put on to the ballot. The resolution would be for them requesting more funds. Enclosed, please find a certified copy of the resolution adopted by the Board of Trustees of LT Memorial Library, together with an original petition consisting of 72 pages and containing 412 signatures. I believe they needed 349 signatures was the required amount. Asking that the following question be placed on the ballot and voted on the next general election. Shall the annual contribution of the town of New Paltz provide in its budget for the LT Memorial Library, a free association library located in New Paltz, New York, be increased by $70,000 annually to $463,000 annually? So that is the request. I was here when the first request came about. Which was $70,000 less. We were told we would not be seeing another request for somewhere between
Was this last year?
It was on ballot in 2013.
2013.
They weren't going to have to come back.
They were not going to be coming back for about 5 to 7 years. They're coming back in 2 years, asking the community for $70,000 in addition.
Is that about a 20% increase?
396 is what it was.
Yes, that's exactly what it was, yep. So that was just on the ballot. It's asking for a resolution to be passed. I was not provided, I'm not aware, was there anything else provided on backup on why they needed the 70,000 or? Okay, so I don't honestly have any information on why the $70,000 more is needed. It does go out before the voters. We are working, I was with Gene just the other day, and we are looking at a zero budget of an increase. So I don't know why the library is asking for this increase. What is the timing for when this is due?
The town board would need to pass a resolution, preferably at this meeting or next week's meeting, in order for the Board of Elections to have enough time to prepare the ballots.
So we're under a crunch. Okay, so did you get what I circulated today to everybody?
Yes.
I just want us to kind of go back a little bit so that we can go forward properly. Did everybody read that?
Idea, there's a problem with that. It's a great idea, but under the Cuomo administration, if the state legislator, by the way, no one knows what we're talking about creating a library district. Under the Cuomo administration, library districts have been vetoed. We just had this actually done locally, and I believe the director of the Star Library is a New Paltz resident who watches our meetings, funny enough, so he probably thinks this is funny right now. So what they did was they tried to do that. They tried to do a library district. It passed both the Assembly and the Senate overwhelmingly. It went to the governor's desk, and the governor vetoed it. And the rationale given for the governor vetoing it was that it creates more governments. So that is the stance that the current governor has, and he has utilized that same authority for other similar districts. So although it would, help out in the problem we're talking about, I do not believe it would be feasible for us to do.
Okay,
now, which is actually just real interesting in that, though, too, is we are also we're requested at our joint meeting the other night to be considering a fire district, which is also another taxing authority. So New Paltz alone, with its taxing authorities, we now have the taxing authority of the village, we have the taxing authority of the town, taxing authority of the library, we have the taxing authority of the school district. We may not realize it, but the SUNY New Paltz acts as a taxing authority by adding students and services for which we are paying for, so they are a taxing authority. We have the taxing authority of the county, taxing authority of the state, and taxing authority of the federal government. So this extra funds, the only uncomfortable part I have right now is I don't know why I don't know if anyone else has any insights on why they're asking for the extra funds.
Before we get to, just for a second, you made the point, Dan, and I'm going back to what I circulated to everybody here. So one of the three options that you can operate under and request funds from municipalities under a referendum is public library district. So the first one was the one you just talked about. And then beyond that, you have two other types of library districts or library compositions that permit you to go ahead and ask to be put on a ballot. The second one is special legislative district public library. And the third one, which I think applies to this situation, is called the association library district. And this can all be found under the New York State Educational website under library development. So when you go down to association district, it says, this model is available to libraries currently chartered as association libraries, right, which I would think that Elton is, that do not want to relinquish their private status by rechartering as a school district public library or a special legislative district public library. Although an association library district is not a public entity, the library can emulate the basic characteristics of a public library district by providing a process for, and then it gives these requirements: public election of its trustees, the library to secure 60% or more of its operating revenue through a public budget vote, the library to ensure financial accountability by presenting annually to the appropriate funding agencies and the public a written budget that will enable the library to meet or exceed the minimum standards of, and there's a code section here, and to carry out its long-term point of service. So when you start looking into the details of the requirements, I don't even know if they've met the requirements. See where I'm going?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think we have to ask them for a little bit more information because they may need to do a few more things to put themselves in a position to have the ability to request placement on a ballot.
Right.
They may not be eligible right now.
So two things about that I'd like to bring up. One is that something that we would like to ask our attorney to try to get us an opinion before we...
I think that's a good
I
idea.
think that would be nice to maybe expend some funds to do that. Second is, what was the number of signatures that they received?
They received,
You need to get...
they received 412 signatures. They were required to get 349.
So, I know at the Board of Elections, they received a packet like that. Being that close, they would call someone to review it almost immediately. I know that your office is not the Board of Elections. My question is there anything that your office does to verify that the people who signed are in fact residents?
I actually asked the Board of Elections that question because I was looking through and I noticed a signature that I thought might be questionable, and what they said was people signing that petition are only lending their support to put it on the ballot. They're not actually voting for it.
But
right
here's the
now.
thing, just so I can clarify it. See, municipal ballot, Chapter 414 of the New York State laws of 1995 provide that public libraries in New York State, including association libraries, with the ability to place a funding proposition on a municipal ballot. The library must obtain signatures from eligible voters within the municipality on the petition. So it's just not that you're a resident. You have to be an eligible voter. So Dan, getting back to board elections, what requirements do you have to undertake to become an eligible voter? Do you have to register as a voter?
To be an eligible voter, you would have to register, you would have to be able to be looked up, you'd have to even register a certain time before your signature was placed there. Now, technically, the Board of Elections does not challenge signatures. What they would do is, because it's a partisan entity and we are not, if it was a Republican, they'd call their Democratic friend and say, Joe's kind of close, you need to come in and look at these.
Right.
We don't operate that way, but just to make sure that the integrity of the petitions are there, I mean, I think it would be maybe, and I know might be a big undertaking, worth just reviewing them just to make sure that they're legal
Because
status.
this is statutory, which means the definition of a person who is capable of signing and having that signature count is an eligible voter within the municipality.
And does it stipulate, so for elections, it's usually 5% of those that voted in the party?
It's 10% of the votes in the prior gubernatorial election.
So they gave us the number.
10%.
They gave us the number.
Actually, that number, the 349 number came from the town attorney.
Well, hopefully that's
He
right.
looked it up, and that was the number he said they were required to
10%
get.
of any,
It says right here, the number of signatures must equal at least 10% of the number of votes cast in the last gubernatorial election.
Yeah, and part of the resolution that, I think I remember Joe looking at this last time. I'd have to go back and, I know we have some notes that this, last time I went through it, in fact, you know what, probably tomorrow I can come and pull them. I know I have some notes on this from a mere 2 years ago, whereas there has been presented to the Board of Trustees of Elton Memorial Library a petition signed by qualified voters of the town of New Paltz in a certain number exceeding 10% of the total number of voters cast for governor in the town of New Paltz in the last gubernatorial election.
So I'm a little concerned because I'm concerned for two reasons. One is they made a commitment to us not to come back and use public funds.
Well, they said they would be back, but
Not in
Dan,
a
help me with the
short period of
recollection.
time.
It
I
was,
don't remember the exact time, but I do not believe the time frame was what we are.
I believe the time frame we could go back and, Roseanne maybe even have it in her minutes, I believe, if not, it would certainly be, it was recorded, and it was in the neighborhood of 5 or 7 years. They sat before us, and the reason they were explaining is you ask for more money than you actually need because you want to be able to work up to that number, then ask for more funds. So I'm very, very surprised that we are now coming at us with new funds,
Right.
for
Well,
such a large sum without an explanation.
I'd be surprised, number one, and number two, there's a certain requirement, I think, for these entities, like the fire company. What they do is they have fundraising activities, all right, so that they can offset some of their costs through fundraising. So the way this reads to me is that the people that run the show there have to be publicly elected. Their annual budgets have to be reviewable by the town board, which is the municipality funding the money. And there should be some oversight in terms of, what efforts have you made to try to come up with some other sources, or what grants, whatever. Or maybe even a bigger discussion, which is, what is your biggest expense over there? Is it that you have to, I know they have some very important documents that they house there, but is it least expensive or more inexpensive, maybe to think about housing them somewhere else in the community that has the same capability? So we're getting into a situation where we're funding a private, not-for-profit corporation that provides valuable service to the community. Don't get me wrong there. But we have to be diligent in terms of how we approach this. We have to make sure they're doing it correctly and we're doing it correctly. That's all I'm saying.
So at this point, are we looking to have Joe render an opinion on if they do fall into this jurisdiction? And then, if you don't mind, as we give you the mandate, would you, if you have not already, just kind of take a quick glance over the signatures? I'm not saying you have to go through every name, but if there are certain things that jump out at you, that would be important to know.
Does the petition identify the type of library that they're asking be identified in the referendum?
No, I read you the reference, no.
District, public library, distinguished from a
It's actually,
legislative district.
it's actually called a free association library.
So it's the association piece, Marty.
It's under association.
So that's the only
That's the-
section.
That's the third
All right,
alternative.
so in that, it requires that there be public election of its trustees.
Right.
We don't think they do that. The library to secure 60% or more of its operating revenue through a public budget vote.
We
There
don't
has
know the
been no
numbers.
vote. The library to ensure financial accountability by presenting annually to appropriate funding agencies and the public a written budget that would enable the library to meet or exceed the minimum standards of the section you referenced, you mentioned existed before, and to carry out a long-range plan of service. We've not seen any of those. I don't believe.
And I've attached for you section 90.2, standards for registration. You'll see that too. And so I think we need to have a little bit more information and clarification from our attorney before we do something that we shouldn't do.
And again, I want to make sure everyone understands, and even Bob here, I grew up helping at the library fair. I grew up as a little kid running between the stacks of books and stacking them for the annual library fair. I know just recently they had a large sewer issue, and a local contractor virtually donated 80–90% of the cost to doing the work. The cost was going to be very excessive. So I believe everyone in the community, including all the local businesses, see the fantastic asset we have in the core of our community. I think what we're asking, and I'd like to know if everyone's in the same piece here, is the pieces that Marty pointed out. Are we following the law as far as us moving this resolution forward? And is anyone not comfortable with us holding off till we get a few more answers?
I mean, I think it's clear here that everybody loves our library. No one's questioning that. But I
Absolutely.
agree with you that I think we need to make sure that we are doing the right thing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because,
So I'd like to hold off.
so Marty, to your point also is, because the resolution we would be making is that we are making the resolution to put it, and I do remember this from the conversation from Joe a couple years ago, our resolution is stating that we are putting something on the ballot under, let's see, pursuant of Section 81 of town law. So that's all we are really doing. The piece that Kevin brings up very succinctly and that you're bringing up now is, has the library done everything to get us to the point where we are satisfied that the funds they are taking are being used in a legal fashion, as far as us saying it is part of the budget, it is publicly, they're having elections that are public elections.
I'd just like to clarify, I'm not challenging how they're spending their funds because I haven't seen the budget, so I can't.
That's what I mean, is just, yeah, I neither can I.
I'm questioning whether they satisfy the legislative requirements that are preceding to doing what they're wanting to do. I'm not an attorney, but that's why we asked Joe to help us. But from reading this, it appears that they have not.
And that's what I am too. I can't tell you whether they're spending the money appropriately or not.
They don't have public election of officers. They haven't done the 60% documentation and the accountability reviews and reports.
So I suggest that Jeff, do you want to contact Joe?
I will contact Joe. I will send Joe out. I will copy the board on the communications with Joe and the questions that we have raised. And hopefully we can hear back from him
For next week.
prior to next week. Actually, I will be with Joe next week one day, so we will see what we can get and get it out circulated. And then, would anyone like to have the library come and make any type of presentation?
I think that would be appropriate.
At least offer them that opportunity.
So I will reach out to the library also, and we can book them for next week. For a, I can reach out to Richard, who is the board president, or I believe, I think Alice, isn't Allison the secretary?
Allison.
She's the secretary, right? So I can reach out to both Richard and to them, and if they'd like to come and make a presentation. Okay. Warrants, prepays, and budget modifications. I believe the warrants were done by Dan and Marty. And thank you also, both of you, for coming in. I went in and signed some late this week, or middle of this week, and thank you guys for also coming back to sign more. I appreciate it. Gene, they came in and signed them, right? They do good, because I said I will put my signature to these, and I was promised that you had both been contacted.
Dan, you're gonna move it?
The ones he missed.
Yes, so I would like to move the warrants for a total of $443,115.45.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We do have some budget modifications. And Jean, please pay attention, because I want to make sure I have these correct. Thank you. I will not dare. I would like to, President of the Town Board, authorize the supervisor to make a budget modification, equipment line A8189.20, to increase the line $68, and also an increase in the line of 9802130 in the amount of $68.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. And just so everyone knows, that is for Laura for a piece of equipment. This is for the highway department, so we get to make Chris happy. He is requesting a V plow to replace a broken plow. We'd like to increase line DB 5110.2, $173. We are decreasing line DB 5110.4, $173.
So moved.
And I will second. And the only discussion is just so everyone knows the total cost, it will be $6,724.13. You're welcome, Chris. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Also for highway, Chris spends too much time in your office.
He's a lot of trouble.
He spends way too much time. We do need to move town hall. More evidence. We are requesting also, this is reimbursed highway for repairs made to the building inspector's Ford Explorer. We would like to increase line DB 980-2801, an amount of $479.79, and also increase line DB 522-513400, $479.79.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do you want the copies of these?
Yes, please.
Yes. What's that? That would be hers. If we do not adopt the minutes, I was just about to adjourn the meeting, and I saw that little look from Loyola. I will pass one to each one of you. Look at these here. Each one of you gets to move one of them.
I will start this off by moving the August 27th, 2015 meeting. We were all present, we talked about Sano annexation, and we worked on the historical Huguenot agreement as well.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I have the August 20th, 2015 Town Board meeting. Everyone present except Supervisor Zimmett. There was a discussion of Water District 5. Village Trustee Tom Rocco was present, Dan Bashad as well, Dave Clauser. Basically, that was the meeting where we set a subsequent date for having a discussion with Plains Road residents. I believe one of the participants was given a list of the questions and the answers that were prepared by Dave Clauser. There was a resolution Greenway application for the Millbrook Preserve. There was an appraisal for the 101 Plains property authorized. And there was a town hall discussion by Marty Irwin. I'd like to move the approval of town board meeting minutes for August 20th, 2015.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There was a special town board meeting on September 9th. Councilman Barry was not able to be with us. The rest of us were present. This was to discuss creation of water district and other related matters that had to be done on a time-sensitive basis, declaring lead agency for the construction of backup water system, a long resolution that was read at the meeting. Read it again. Contract of services for Dave Clauser and Associates. Planning board recommendations for engineering services. And then, not related to the water, setting a joint meeting, which was actually scheduled and has been held. An amendment to the agenda to add emergency generator for sewer District 6. The emergency purchase of the generator for sewer District 6. I'd like to move that the minutes of the September 9th, 2015 special town board meeting be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
I will abstain,
And
because I wasn't present.
perfect. I make a motion for adjournment.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.